are going to be thinking again today about the story from the Bible of God making the world. Can you remember it? I reckon you can, but we're going to play a game first to help us think a little bit more about the story. This is a memory game. I am going to show you some pictures and you've got about 30 seconds to try and remember them all. Try and remember the different pictures. They'll all be on the screen at once. Try and remember the different pictures. Then I'll take one away and I want you to see if you can remember it. Are you ready? Here come those pictures. Have a good look. Remember them. You've got about 30 seconds and then I'm going to take one away. That was our last one. It was me that was missing, the person, wasn't it? Do you remember that people were the last thing that God made in that story of creation we find in the Bible? And do you know, if you keep reading the Bible, you discover that God gave people a job to do. He didn't give the animals a job or the fish a job. He gave people a job. And this is what he told them to do. Well, actually, can you guess? Here are three options. Which one do you think is right? What did God say to people? Did he say, here you go and build a tree house? Did he say, look after my world? Or did he say, well, you go and try now, see if you can make something better than me. That's your job. I'm sure you guessed right. He said to go and look after the world. Christians believe that God has given them the job of looking after the world. And that means looking after the plants and nature. It means looking after the animals and fish. And it means looking after people. And it means looking after the part of the world that we live in, that's close to us. And maybe parts of the world we've never even been to. They're so far away. I wonder how you think we're doing at it. Do you think we do a good job of looking after the world? I want you to imagine a scale from 1 to 10. Okay, you've got 10 fingers. So if you were to hold up 1, it would mean that you think we don't do it very well at all. If you were to hold up 10, it would mean that you think we really do that well. We do that part of looking after the world well. And if you were to hold up 5, you'd be somewhere in the middle. So let's see what you think, okay? So here's the first one. Putting your litter in the bin after you've been to the park or a picnic. What do you think? Do you do that not so well, or do you do that really well? Where are you on that scale? I think I would give myself a 10 for that. I'm really good at that. I never drop my litter. I always make sure it goes in the bin, or I take it home and put it in the bin. Okay, next one. What about only saying kind things? Because that's a way of looking after people, isn't it? Only saying kind things and never saying unkind things. Where do you think? A scale of 1 to 10. Easy or hard to do? I'm giving myself a 7 or 8, I think, because I always mean just to say kind things, and I always try really hard to, but it's tricky sometimes, and I do make mistakes. Here's the next one. Looking after our pets. Do you think we do that well or not so well? What do you think? Do we do it well or not so well? I think I look after my pet. I've got a dog called Oscar. I think I look after him pretty well. I'd give myself a 10 for that. Oh no, sometimes I forget to brush his hair, so maybe only a 9. Okay, next one. Recycling. How do you do at recycling? Do you think you don't do so well at recycling, or you do really well? What would you give yourself? I'm going to go for an 8. I recycle most stuff, but sometimes I just get a bit bored and I find myself putting it in the bin rather than washing it out and putting it in the recycling tub. But 8's okay, I think 8's pretty good. What about this one? This is maybe trickier. Not just throwing out old clothes, but finding a way to reuse them. Not just throwing out old clothes, but finding a way to reuse them. I don't think I'm so good at that. I would give myself a 3 or a 4. Sometimes I pass them on to other people or give them to the kind of the charity shop, but not so good at that. 2 to go. Here's the second last one. Do you use, does your mum or your dad, or when you help, do you use cleaning fluids that aren't harmful to fish or animals? Do you know, I don't think I do that very well at all. Using cleaning materials that aren't harmful, don't have chemicals in them that would harm fish or animals, because I just buy what's cheap in the supermarket. So maybe that's something I need to think about. What about this one? This is tricky. Not cutting down rainforests, because we know that rainforests are an important habitat, don't we, for lots of animals and plants. Not cutting down rainforests. I think that's tricky because I don't cut down rainforests, so I could give myself a 10 and say, I do really well at that. But other times, I don't really do anything that stops rainforests being cut down, do I? I don't campaign against it, or I don't only buy things that aren't made in rainforests. Maybe I've still got some work to do on that. I don't think I can give myself a 10. Well, I don't know what you chose, but I suspect, like me, you maybe got a mix there. I'm guessing that you did. Some things we're good at and some things we're not so good at. And I'm going to ask you a question now, and I want you to pause and have a think. You don't have to pause the video. I'm going to show you some pictures of my favourite places and favourite things in creation as we go along. But here's the question. Why do you think God asked people to look after the world? Why do you think God asked people to look after the world? Have a think as you look at these pictures. If you want to chat about it in your class, you can pause the video at the end and do that as well. What answers you came up with for that question. Well, Christians believe that God made the world for us to enjoy, and if we spoil it, we won't be able to enjoy it. And if we spoil it, others won't be able to enjoy it, and people that live after us won't have such a beautiful and amazing world to live in and enjoy. And Christians believe we need to look after our own little part of the world, but also parts of the world that we've never even been to. They're so far away. Maybe that means doing things like only buying products that don't contain palm oil or are made with sustainable palm oil. Remember, palm oil comes from rainforests, and often they're chopped down to get it for our shower and bath products. But we can choose not to use them and choose other ones. Or maybe it means giving money to a charity that looks after people on the other side of the world. You can twin your toilet to help people on the other side of the world have clean toilets and keep them healthy. Or you could give money to a charity like Compassion that looks after children on the other side of the world and makes sure they have education and healthcare. I think sometimes we think that looking after the world is all just about putting litter in the bin and recycling. But we need to remember that it's more than that, that it's about looking after the whole world and the whole of creation, all of nature, all animals, all people, everything that God made. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Your challenge is to come up with a project. Maybe you could work on it as a small group or a class or yourself, whatever your teacher thinks, and a way of you looking after the world. Maybe it will be a way of looking after each other in your class. Maybe it'll be a way of looking after part of your school grounds, or maybe it will be a way of looking after part of the world that you've never even been to. And as you remember, remember that Christians believe that God has given us the job of looking after the world. That's our job to do. We have a responsibility to look after the world, all of nature, all people, and everything in it. I know you are going to do a great job at it.